ladies and gentlemen. Today we're excited to have Kelly Lynn Adams on the show. Kelly's a coach, she's a cash, she's an entrepreneur who has built a thriving business, helping women trying to manage their mindset and maximize their strengths and even monetize their time. Kelly started her first webinar when she posted that in the bathroom, the only private place she shared two of our roommates. And that's quite inspiring to think of where she has gotten herself to right now. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, whether you're a career changer, you're just looking to get inspiration to pursue your own goals, this conversation is definitely going to keep you motivated and empowered. So without further ado, welcome Kelly Lynn Adams.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. So, the first, what attracted me to you was when you posted about how you decided to take that first step. You had to do your first, have your first webinar in your bathroom. So, can you tell us about that moment you decided to do your first webinar in your bathroom and what inspired you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I was working full time at the time and I was starting my coaching business and I had a couple of roommates and really the only privacy I had was in my bathroom, like where the sound was going to be okay and I knew I wouldn't be interrupted. And so I literally set up like a stand with a computer. There's like a shower curtain in the background and I literally did my first webinar in my bathroom. No one even knew it. And yeah, I just got it done. So it's really like making a way out of no way. So, and I couldn't do it anywhere else in my apartment at the time. And so that's the place I did it.
Did you experience any sort of self-doubt challenges before you did it, or was it just something that you were already used to getting? So you just like, oh, I'm used to just thinking about stuff and doing it. Did you feel some sort of self-doubt before you?
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, still today I have self-doubt. So absolutely, I didn't know if people were going to know it was in my bathroom. I didn't know what I was saying. I mean, I kind of knew what I was teaching, but I didn't know if it was going to land or make sense to anybody. So absolutely, I was self-doubting myself before, during, and after even words. And even still today, like as I grow and as I keep leveling up, there's always a bit of self-doubt. And I think that's true for whenever we're evolving and growing. We might get to that next level, but then there's like another layer. There's always another layer of growth.
Yeah. So self-doubt is kind of like, well, I say rite of passage to growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's sometimes rites of passage. It could be anything. Some people it looks like maybe imposter syndrome or low confidence or nervousness or sometimes depression and anxiety, or kind of like that self-sabotage or the self-suffering. So It could be in any shape or form.
Okay. So you usually talk about shattering glass ceilings. Can you tell me how it came up?
Yeah, so I love that phrase. So I always thought of when I shatter my own glass ceilings, it's always doing things above and beyond what I'm doing now. So any limitations, any stories or narratives that aren't serving me, anything like that. So when I talk about shattering your own glass ceilings, I mean on every level, a financial level, like how much money do you want to be making every month? How much do you want to have in savings? How much do you want to be investing? Like, can you do even more, right? Or can you do it in a different way? Also physically, like from a body perspective, do you feel good? Are you exercising? Are you moving your body? And even in your business, like how are you getting outside your comfort zone to really expand yourself? So like I said, it's kind of we create our own ceilings for ourselves. There's really no ceiling. And so, but what we do is from past programming or how we were raised or society or culture or anything, there's these ceilings and these limitations that either the culture puts on us or the media or other people or our own selves. And we get to break all of that because we're really we're limitless. We come into the world, right, with nothing. And as babies, where we have unlimited potential. So sometimes we limit ourselves. So that's what I mean. Like, how can we shatter our own things that are holding us back?
Right, in your story, you talked about how you joined support groups, how you joined certain groups, and you had a coach. How did you decide which communities or coaches to invest in, and what qualities do you think are important or were important to you at that time?
Yeah, so I always had a coach. I've always sometimes had multiple coaches, and I'm in multiple environments and masterminds and groups. And I think it's very, very important because your environment, the places that you put yourself in, the environments, the people that you're around, the things that you surround yourself with, anything that you consume, whether that's eating wise, listening wise, watching wise, it's so, so important because we become our environment. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, the plant can only grow as big as the pot. So sometimes the plant is, it just doesn't fit in the pot anymore. And sometimes the pot is old friends, family members. Not that you grow out of them, but the ways of thinking and being, it's not, if you want to get to point Z, but your family and friends are at point C, it's not, you're only going to go to that certain environment, right? So I always put myself in different places, whether that's events, hiring coaches and mentors, different environments that I know I'm going to grow and be pushed. And just kind of looking at the blind spots. Like sometimes I can't see what I can't see because we're so in it, and just certain things I'm pointing out. And then just also like, who do I want to be around? How do I want to be showing up for myself? And I think it's really important. I think every season of life and every phase of your life, you're going to be looking for something different. So I would just tune in to, everyone is going to need something different. Tune into what you need right now. Sometimes it's a business coach. Sometimes it's a life coach. Sometimes it's just joining a community that has like-minded people, finding your tribe. Sometimes it's going to a couple of networking events to see which one you like, virtual or in person. So I think it really depends on where you are at in your life at this point and what season you are in and what you want to focus on. So I think it really just depends. And there's so many different things that you can, usually your gut never steers you wrong. So I always say, like, tune into your gut, your instinct, the initial feeling that you have, and you can never go wrong. Even if you kind of like, there's a little bit of hesitation or fear or doubt, it's like always tune in and being like, okay, if there's a pull to do something or be somewhere, go do it.
You've actually talked about having a coach and joining different communities, changing your mindset, or rather being in the midst of people who have growth mindset, so to speak. What other steps did you think you took that has been able to influence your growth so far from when you started?
So much. I mean, I don't know if we have time. So many things. I think the most important thing for me is I just took one step at a time. Just one step. Like, it was the small daily or weekly actions. And I still do today. Still just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even when it doesn't feel sexy, even when it doesn't feel like I want to, it's like, okay, what do I get to move the needle forward today? Might not look like a big launch. Right? It's just like, okay, what is going to move me in that direction? And sometimes people don't want to do the unsexy work, or they don't want to do the work that it kind of like, you're going to go through awkward stages, kind of when you're growing up, right? When you're 2, when you're 5, then like preteen, teen, then in college, like there's always that awkward stage, right? In any kind of like season in your life. And sometimes it's sitting in that, but also moving it forward, right? So I think the biggest thing was I just kept taking one step forward and just kept kind of like climbing a mountain. If you're climbing a mountain, it's like, you want to get to the top, that's like the ultimate destination. But then when you get to the top, you're like, oh, that's it, right? So it's really just like the one step in front of the other, and to just keep on going and going. I think that's the biggest thing that I have always kind of leaned on.
I kind of love what you're saying because I think it's a mindset for you, right? Because when I read your story on LinkedIn and how, you just started with your first webinar, you had to do the first step. At least you had to take the first step, irrespective of you didn't have a fancy place, you didn't have a fancy studio and all of that. And you just had to take that first step, right? So I love that you have that whole mindset, because most people who are starting out, I think our biggest problem is that we're waiting to be perfect. We're waiting to have what you guys already have, without realizing that we're not in the same phase, we're not in the same level. So what advice would you give to people like us? I mean, just that one advice. I know you've been saying, I mean, I've learned a lot of things so far, but what one advice would you say to people who are just starting up in their personal journey or in their professional journey?
So first of all, I just want to kind of say, people like us, when you say that, I don't know what you mean by that. And maybe people just starting out, because we're all the
we're like over here and you're like somewhere over there.
Yeah, well, and like, right, and do we really know that, right? And similar, because I do the same thing, because I might be here and then I look at people that are like where I want to be and I'm like, what is going right? So it's like, so I will tell you at every level, and even the people up here are looking at the people up here, right? Like at every level, you will have that. There's no final destination. Even the people at the top are still like, how do I get to this? Like it's like, what's the next mountain, right? Like, so there's always, and I think that's also the journey, right? Of really being, okay, I'm here. What's really like, how did I get here? Right? If you were to look at your 2-year-old self is like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. You're like, look where you are, right? As a 2-year-old. If if I look at my 2-year-old or 4-year-old niece, she'd be like, look at you, right? So it's definitely, and that's great because we're always evolving and growing. And so I like to say also, I think I said this in another post or interview, it's like, don't compare, if you're on chapter 2, don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 8, right? Because it's just it's a timing thing. It's they put in more reps. They've been doing it longer. I know some of my mentors have been doing it longer than I have. I know they have really like stepped in more than I have. They have faced more than I have, right? So it's just the timing and the energy and the effort of it. And I'm not saying burn out and do all the things all at once. No, it's more of like a progression. So, but the thing is there's never there. You're never going to get there, because when you get there, that's not there. You're already looking at like, oh, what's next? So it's always kind of, it's like a hamster wheel. So if we can just find the peace and like even daily gratitude and daily wins, like that's what has kept me grounded. It's like, okay, what was a win today for me? What happened that was like, I'm really proud of myself. Even if I made no money that day, even if I, got rejected 6 times, or no one signed up for a program, or no one joined my masterclass. It's like, what is a win, right? It's, okay. Finding the wins throughout the day and throughout the process really helped with my mindset, and also like embodying, like I am doing the thing. It's kind of like any big thing. If you're writing a book or climbing a mountain or practicing or doing a new skill, riding a bike, swimming, we get to put in the reps, right? And enjoying that process and the journey. And no one likes to hear that, because it's not the sexy thing, right? It's like, I don't want to enjoy the process. I just want to get there. But where is there?
So when you started as a side hustle to you. Is there a rule? And then secondly, how did you progress into being something more full-time, something taking much of your time?
Yeah, so how I started out is just, I was like, I always wanted to do something else, and coaching found me, and I was just working. I used whatever resources I had at the moment, and I just got into action, imperfect, messy action. And I kept doing it, and then just shifted along the way. And then also, I still do it today. I just take messy action, just keep doing it. And then when I knew I wanted to leave, I wanted to leave corporate for so long. And then I was just like, it just was like, one day I'm like, if I'm in the same place as I am next year, I'm gonna, no way. And that's when I made the decision, like, Kelly, what are you doing, right? Make a decision. But it's a very personal, everyone's gonna get to their tipping point or breaking point, so it's really a conversation with yourself.
what's your definition of success so far? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that's a great question. So
yeah.
I would say success is really just being like fulfilled and embodied in what I love to do. So, I mean, everyone has different markers of success. Some people it's like, and of course, like I love money, making money, yes. Uh, and I know people that make a ton of money and they're miserable. So it's being
Mm-hmm.
around my loved ones, being able to have, abundance and wealth for me as on all levels, like mentally, physically, money in the bank, but also health. Like your health is really wealth. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So for me, success is all of it, right? Health, wealth, mental peace, not working all the time, having time to travel and enjoy life, and getting to do the things that I really, really want to do.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, do you have personal hobbies or practice that have, influenced who you become right now? So maybe you can just take that moment.
Yeah, I have a lot of, and they vary. I think again in different seasons I do different things.
Okay. When you mean
I definitely
season, what do you mean by season?
seasons is like if a quarter, right? Sometimes I'll
Okay.
do quarterly planning or 6 months, or maybe I'll like this year I'll do it, or maybe it's just weeks. Like the next 2 weeks I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
So like my morning routine has changed and my night routine has changed. So, but I always move my body. I'm always drinking water. I do prayer. I journal. I speak out loud. So I do these things either in the morning or at night or throughout the day. I do what's called like nervous system regulation practices, which is just like signifying to the body that it's safe. So breathing techniques, getting outside in nature, really just to take care of myself. And then like the mindset of finding evidence of what has worked, what is working, what my successes have been so far, and just like training your mind to look at that. Because sometimes our mind is trained to find the bad or find the thing that's going to be a threat, because our brain and our body is like we want to be safe. So
Yeah.
what out here is not safe, or what thought is not safe, and then we seek out safety. So it's really being like, okay, no, I am safe, and finding evidence of successes and being like, nope, this is a win. Like I'm on the right track, even though it might
Okay.
not feel like it, even though you might have negative thoughts. It's like constantly like reprogramming yourself.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to ask if was there an experience that transformed your life? Something you went through that you need a wow, okay, this is, did you have that aha moment or
Yeah, I
was it
mean,
for you over time you just discovered?
yeah, I mean, there's been so many aha moments and so many times. I guess I'll share with you one of them when I landed in the hospital. So I landed in the hospital because I was working my corporate job and I was building my business, and I was working
Okay.
all the time and I didn't make time for myself. I wasn't sleeping that great because I was working all the time. I wasn't eating great. I was eating fast food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I wasn't drinking water. Like I just was so consumed with work. And so I wasn't listening to my body. And so my body's like, no, no, no. It started to really like take a turn. Like it was like, it's
Okay.
not happening. I got fever, oral thrust, immune stuff happening. So, and it was burnout, basically. I wasn't taking care of myself on any level. And
Yeah.
so that was when I really took a stand back and I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm coaching people, I'm working this corporate job, like I'm doing all this stuff. And yet I'm not taking care of myself, because it was like self neglect.
Yeah.
So huge aha and wake up call to be like, Kelly, you're not being the person who you want to be, right? But that was more of like a work addiction, and I was seeking, safety and validation and recognition in people being like, "Oh, your work is so good, your work is so good." And that's where I was finding the love instead of really like loving myself first.
Right before I ask you the last question, I just have this one question. Do you have, or can you recommend just one book for people who are trying, starting on their journey, their personal or professional journey? A book that helped you. We don't want to be overwhelmed. Okay, just give us two or three.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
Let me look at, there's so many right now. The Science of Prosperity by Bob Proctor. So that's
Okay.
more of a mindset book. I like the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. That's more
Okay.
like getting you into action. And The Power of the Subconscious Mind. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. I think those are
Okay.
three really good books. Oh, and there's another one too by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being You.
Okay. Thank you so much. So one final question. Our time is almost up. Looking back to your 18-year-old self, what's one advice would you tell your 18-year-old self? Looking back.
Yep. Keep going. There's going to be hard days. There's going to be amazing days. And just be intentional, be focused, head down, have fun. Have fun and just be focused. Like, you can't mess it up. So just go for it.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thank you. I can't say thank you enough because in just such time, I've learned a lot of things. So thank you for spending your time with us today. I know our audience will be able to learn a lot from you. So if you would like to learn more from, about Kelly, you can visit her website at kellylynadams.com, right? www.kellylynadams.com to find out about her coaching programs, or you can send her a DM on LinkedIn as your Kelly Lynn Adams on LinkedIn. So thanks again for listening, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank
it?
you.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me on. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah.